listening to the Making a Multi-Million-Dollar MedSpa podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to run a successful business. Thank you for joining us as we showcase and share our day-to-day successes and, even more importantly, failures and mistakes, and host some of our peers, colleagues, and other experts in the field. Starting a MedSpa can be a daunting undertaking, but the rewards are so worth it. Leaning into the learning curve and being open to the process can make a huge difference when just starting out. Navigating the pitfalls, determining what services to offer, and learning equipment capabilities are just a few of the major tasks that come with building a clinic. Our guest this week, Dr. Andrea Tse, she left a career in anesthesiology to take on the world of aesthetics. Dr. Tse created Optimal You Medical Aesthetics in Sacramento, California, to breathe positivity and grace into the aging process. Throughout her journey, she has embraced the learning moments and continued to grow her practice, so much so that her husband is following her lead and diving into the aesthetic industry too. From the biggest takeaways to key training, this episode will take you through the early life of a med spa and how aesthetics goes beyond that youthful glow. All right, I'm so excited to be back with our podcast today. And our guest today is Dr. Andrea Tse. She's with Optimal You out of Sacramento, California. And I just learned that we have the same birthday.
Yes, we are birthday twinsies. I love this. This makes so much sense to me. And it turns out we both had some childhood years in Tulsa.
Oh my gosh, I'm not kidding.
know.
I just think, I instantly connected with you. I just think you're such an amazing person. But it's been fun to find out these little tidbits along our journey together. So seriously, thank you so much for spending the time with me today to record this podcast and share part of your journey and experiences with other clinics around the country. And that's really what this vision, or my vision for this podcast is just to kind of help others along the way. And so thank you again for coming. So what were you in Tulsa for?
So when I was in probably fourth, fifth, sixth grade, we were living in that area. And I'll be honest with you, Kathy, I don't meet too many people from Tulsa, Oklahoma, or who have even been there. So that's pretty special link.
What school did you go to?
So I went to just the public school there. I want to say it was like Sepulveda, maybe.
Okay,
I would have to double check. It's been a really long time because this is going to give away my age.
was it because I went to Jinx.
It wasn't Jinx for sure, but I'm just
You'll have to look into that and let me know.
Yeah,
I'm
will.
curious to see how far apart we were. So
Yeah, I think I'm quite a bit older than you, Kathy. It's going to give away my age for sure. For
I
sure.
don't know about that. Maybe we'll share that after the podcast. Oh, well, I love to start the podcast with a little bit about maybe just looking at what you're most excited about right now. There's so many things going on in our industry, and from clinic to clinic, I think, overall, we've got some things that we share in terms of our vision, but, there are so many unique things from clinic to clinic. And so maybe just share something that you're really excited about, whether you've started to do it or you're looking to do it, or just kind of an overall idea within our space that makes you happy right now.
I am most excited about the fact that for one of the first times ever, I really feel that people can determine how they age. They can either age gracefully, which is really great, or they can sort of stop the clock for a subset of years and be dialing it back and rejuvenating, and that there's so much medical evidence that it works. I just find that so exciting that you can now look the age you feel.
Definitely. What are your favorite procedures for that specifically?
My favorite procedures are definitely BBL and now IV vitamins. I would have said BBL and Halo a few months ago, but now I have to say BBL and IV vitamins.
Well, I was just watching this commercial about, a makeup that's like the magic eraser. You spray the makeup on and it's the magic eraser. And I thought,
BBL. Is an actual magic eraser. You don't have to spray it on and take it off every day. You actually just go get a treatment and then there's your magic eraser. So I mean, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's been my all-time favorite treatment for a number of years, just because the results that we saw even before the study that came out from Stanford, but now we just have so much science behind it. So it gives me so much confidence when I'm talking to my clients.
Yes.
And I think, really just my goal and focus too with that over the last, a while has been to really help our clients also understand it doesn't just have to be the face and how so many of them still don't put it together that, oh, I can do this on the body as well as my face. So
And
you
I
said, go ahead.
And I realized at the Sciton conference, as I was dreading my prolonged treatment with BBL yesterday for a few clients, that BBL hero is going to come in handy, and I need to just join that segment of the population and own a BBL hero to make treatments fast.
It definitely speeds it up for the body, especially, arms and things like that. Oh, so you said BBL and IV vitamins.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what are you doing there?
So my background is as an anesthesiologist, and when I first started opening and doing treatments, it occurred to me all the things we used to give to burn patients, right? Over several decades of working in the hospital with the understanding that if you are healing, you need extra nutrition to heal. The body is going to be building, it's going to be creating new skin, it's going to be using proteins, and you would need extra in order to heal the wound. And so we started off with some oral supplements initially. And then over the last 2 years, we're really trying to hone in on what made sense for wound healing. And I would say B vitamins and zinc, kind of along that burn healing protocol, definitely works. But now in our office, we're trying vitamin C as well. Sort of that Myers cocktail, essentially, that's been around for so long and is so safe for patients. And I question patients. None of my patients are eating 6 servings of vegetables a day. I don't know about yours, but in Sacramento, they are not.
I don't know about me.
Right?
And I really try, but that's, it just doesn't happen every day.
It's hard. I mean, and I just think that if the skin's getting older on the outside, Kathy, there's no doubt the GI tract is getting older as well. And so I'm thinking maybe absorption becomes an issue as clients get older. And I'm really motivated to take care of that 40s and up crowd because that's really who comes into our office. And we've been starting to see some really good results with just the skin healing, but also feedback about energy that they will sign up again because of the energy they got during the treatment.
So I have gone to a number of IV therapy clinics over the past 5, almost 10 years. And
Yes,
we've also been looking into IV therapy. We are not fully set up yet. So I'm just curious on a couple of things. So you didn't initially open your clinic and say, I'm going to do IV therapy,
correct.
right? Right. Okay. So you've added it since. What does that look like? What does the flow look like? Where did you set it up? I mean, where is the client?
Yeah.
How long are they there for? What did you do with your space? Because so many of our spaces are so small. And so I'm just curious, where you are with that.
So we have essentially linked it for most of our clients to be during the treatment itself. So whether or not they're getting a facial or they're getting a laser procedure, and we will just start an IV and let it basically be running simultaneously. You can pretty quickly give a vitamin B treatment to patients and a little bit of amino acids to patients within a couple of minutes if that was the plan. So when we're using certain formulations, we will just actually do kind of a slow IV push during their treatment. We are also doing the NAD treatments, but those are fairly expensive, and then we actually dedicate a room to those. But the NAD treatments actually started bringing in male clients into our office. And it was interesting because we were not expecting NAD to convert male clients into Botox and laser clients, but
Mhm.
we are starting to see that happening after they come in. So I think it's going to be part of the process going forward, because I think people realize that they can have more energy. It's safe, it's simple. I saw that MedSpa sent out an email talking about adding IV nutrition to a practice, so I'm sure it's coming.
I'm sure it is. I mean, I think, working in this and being in this industry for so many years in Arizona, it's very popular. There are multiple
Oh, sure.
IV therapy clinics there. And then a lot of the aesthetic centers started to add them in, although I have to say the majority were either standalone or they were more of a functional medicine or naturopathic medicine type of, a clinic, and then they would have IV therapy there. But, it just seems to me it's always made sense because I just, it's the whole inside outside overall product, right? You want to feel good, you want to look good. And so Matt and I have been talking about adding it for a couple of years now and kind of been in that process. And when we move into our new building in March, we will have a whole dedicated space to it, but it's just the logistics of where do you put it, who's administering it. And so
Yes.
I like the idea of being able to do it while they're receiving another treatment. I mean,
Mhm.
for me too, it's like I love to be able to get in, get it all done, and get out.
Yes.
Yeah, and for that type of client, I think they would love that.
I would say the only hiccup that we had to learn early on is that if they don't have good veins, Kelly, I would just say they're probably not a good candidate, because you really do have to be fast in order to make it profitable. So you really need that person who can do that quick IV. And then you really need someone who has some kind of vein to work with, right? Because if they're a hard IV stick, then it really can just upset your whole day if all of a sudden you're spending 20 minutes or something to do that. So we learned to screen for that pretty quickly and to just have the hard conversation sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Or if they're needle averse, because you have to think about time is money and sort of all the things that then go into the reassurance part.
Mhm.
So we've kind of narrowed it down to our early adopters or people that come in for NAD treatments exclusively. But I really believe you could get it dialed in and get a system set up and working, and that the clients would love it.
I love that. So talking about the business side and kind of time is money concept, what do you think in opening up your aesthetic center? So coming from anesthesiology into aesthetics and from start to where you are now, what was maybe the biggest kind of hurdle or learning moment or a couple of things that you feel like, it'd be great to have known the week I started instead of now?
I would say understanding that it's going to take you twice as long as you think it is and twice as much money as you think it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because you really do need so much training. And I think I got false sense of security in the beginning when I use needles all day. And when I started playing around with Botox, I mean, it just came so easily to me. And understanding it came so easily. And then I went a little bit into filler, and for the most part, that came pretty easily. But then we added the laser part. And I think that's where it really kind of started to get more complex, because filler and Botox patients aren't always laser patients. And I assumed you could convert them all, but that's not necessarily the case. And then you need marketing and sales expertise, which I clearly did not have as an anesthesiologist.
Well, I think, like you, and I mean, obviously we're a training company, but even still, we pay. I love this the saying like pay for speed, because if you wait, 6 months to pay for it, a year pay for it, 2 years later you're finally paying for it, where you could have paid for it a month or two in and had been doing so much better.
Yes.
a year later or 2 years later. But when we get new technology and you're early in this industry, you think, oh, I just bought this big piece of technology. How can I afford to pay for training? But it really is like, how can you afford not to?
Yes. And here's my shameless plug for your e-course, because it really wasn't until we started doing that course that we understood the limits of the machine. I think we were very timid in terms of how we were using it. And then flash forward to the other day, we have a new esthetician and she's spending the day with us and she wanted to see the BBL. So I had turned it on, I put it on my skin, and then she says, "Oh, is your skin supposed to be smoking that way?" And I'm thinking, wow, I've come a long way from being worried about dialing it up to clearly being okay on fire.
By the way, I always take the shameless plug, so thank you very much. But that is so good. Matt always gives me a hard time about certain treatments that I've done on him over the years, and I used this old IPL system years ago on the cherry angioma, and literally there was a flame. You lit me on fire. I said, well, it worked. It's gone. You're welcome.
And I feel like with our spouses, because my spouse is, pretty much all in to be the guinea pig for whatever we're willing to try. But I did have to explain to Isabel that no, she was right. It was not the goal to set the client on fire, that was actually an anomaly for a teaching point. Yes.
Oh, and so does your husband does not work with you in the clinic, but he'll come in and be your guinea pig.
Well, that's getting ready to change. He actually is finishing up his last 2 weeks as we speak, and he's going to join, and we're pretty excited about it, actually. Very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So he is a surgeon.
Yes.
And so how did that decision come about?
So I did one of those tip my toe in type methods, to where I started out as the one person, just kind of seeing if I could figure out how to make money off of it. And then spent a few years doing both sides of anesthesiology and running the office. And just to prove to myself that that would work. I mean, when COVID came, by the time COVID came and California did a full shutdown, and we actually did close our office to the point to where it reopened, within a mile, 5 new people had opened aesthetics clinics. So the competition was fierce even before. But as I saw that happening, I was pretty glad I had just kind of not fully committed. And then once I really got into more and more training and understanding who my mentors for training should be, I feel like that is so important, because I had been spending money on training, but I felt like I wasn't really getting the right mentor at first. I feel like that's really key, right? Is who
Definitely.
trained you and how your perceptions match with theirs. Like, I want to know anatomy. I want to know skin physiology. I want to know as much of what not to do as what to do. And while I do think there's an art to it, there's also a science, which is why I feel like you and I have such a good connection, because I feel like you believe it's science. And I also believe in be the best that you can be. And I think you've got to find that person who provides those qualities for you.
Well, I see that in you so much. I've had the wonderful opportunity to work with clinics all over the country, and just to have so many of our talks and to see your approach and how much you care. I mean, I just kept saying, you're gonna get so busy. You're gonna get so busy. You just gotta keep plugging away. Your clients are gonna absolutely love and adore you and never ever leave you, because you put so much care into them. Not only in like getting the right training and making sure that you fully understand and as before you're like, using it, but also like what else can you do from the wellness perspective. I mean, it's just like full picture for you. And There's a lot of times when I work with clinics in the beginning, I think, oh gosh, I hope they, really hope they can make it. And I just always thought, oh, she's going to do great.
Oh, well, thank you, Kathleen. So that's so generous and kind of you. I mean, I really do think the last year in doing more trainings definitely helped bring him on board. I mean, because we're at that point. I feel like I know who my mentors are for certain things, and it really helps. It really helps accelerate by using results and having clients come in because they get referrals.
And so, what is on your vision of his role in the clinic and your role in the clinic? And will you both be doing the clinical side, both be doing the business side? I'm always curious with the husband and wife thing because, I got that going on too.
Yes. So it's interesting. Glenn and I trained in residency together and we loved working together. Almost said where I think staff around us probably felt like throwing up afterwards because we really liked each other. And I feel like we understood each other in that space.
Mhm.
So I truly believe I was fortunate enough to marry my real complement in life. So the things that I don't enjoy as much, which is some of the business and numbers to the business, he really likes. I actually don't really love doing filler to a huge extent, but he's very interested in threads and filler techniques. And what better hands than 20-year-old surgical hands of experience doing those? So I feel like it's finally reached that point to where we can do it, and we're pretty excited.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, is there anything that you've heard about and you think, oh, in the future, I definitely want to do that? Any type of technology or procedure? Um, kind of what are your next steps and growth? I mean, obviously, he's coming on. I think that's a huge next step to have both of you there. That's going to be amazing. Is there anything else that you can think of that you're just like really excited about or you've heard about recently that you'd like to add to your menu of services?
So I really like the concept of being able to be a one-stop shop, and we currently aren't that. So when I was seeing Saiton's new hair removal devices, I mean, that's kind of on our back burner because without a doubt, having our lifelong clients has been what has been so great for us because we really were trying to make long-term fans and we've done a good job of that. But every now and then I see that not offering hair removal, for example, leads them somewhere else. And
Hmm.
so I think it is really important to stop and think about what will make your client seek services elsewhere because customer service, having the right equipment, definitely that all has to be there. But I feel like you also have to be covering all the services almost at some point if you hope to grow.
I think it's a really good point. We learned that lesson again a couple of years ago. We've always offered hair removal, but at some point, it was not the fun thing to buy anymore. And so our technology just kind of became dated and it still worked. But we were using, older technology to do that same procedure and competing with clinics, across the city that had bought kind of the latest and greatest. And we had another clinic come in to work with us to do some clinical training. And we were talking to them about their menu of services and, what are the top procedures on their list. And they were doing $1 million a year in hair removal.
Right.
And Matt and I were like, I think we're missing the boat on this one,
Yes.
So, I mean, it is the procedure that year after year is one of, if not the top, one of the top laser procedures nationwide. And probably because it's men and women and multiple body parts, right? And all skin types when you get the right device. And so I can see how that would be something that would be, when you have the right person to do that procedure too, great for your schedule. I mean, your menu of services. I mean, for us, one of the nice things that we do is when we bring on, because in the state of Kansas, your estheticians can do laser hair removal. And so we bring them on, and the newer estheticians take on those types of procedures that, I mean, those aren't the loveliest, wanted treatments to perform,
Right.
but they're the necessary ones, and they build
Yes.
relationships. And you have clients that start to come in younger that you build those relationships with, and they stay with you longer. And so, long story short, anyway, we bought another device.
And I think because women specifically are so interested in that procedure, and I feel like they go through multiple stages, right? So they're in their 20s and they want their hair removed, but then they go through a pregnancy, and then sometimes the hair comes back and they need it removed again. And then by the time they go into menopause, unfortunately, it comes back, maybe not in the same place, but somewhere
Mhm.
else, like on the face, and they want it removed then. And so I agree. And thinking about it, the new treatments are just so fast and effective and more comfortable that it's really missing a market to not have it.
Yeah, I think you'll find that you do a lot of it. And I think especially having the right person to do it that enjoys it, and is has that personality of talking with them through it, because if you're doing full legs, even though it actually is really fast now, you're still applying the gel and doing the treatment, cleaning the gel up, and so there is some time that still goes into it. But I think the right person doing that job, they really capture those clients, and then that just you don't only have that business, but it feeds into your future business of injectables and BBL and Moxie and Halo and all those other fun things. So
Completely agree.
yeah. So I'm sure your Sciton rep will be happy to hear about this.
Yes, I'm sure. Although the nurse in our office informed us very early that she is not the bikini hair removal person. She's already laid down that we will need a new hire.
Well, that's what, I mean, it is one of those things that there are just certain procedures that it's finding the right personality, just like the right personality to answer the phone is the right personality. And I think, with so many of our estheticians here, they started with waxing. And so they
Yeah.
were doing Brazilian waxing treatments all day long. And so to do laser hair removal is like an easy thing. It's faster, it doesn't hurt as much. They don't have to do it, their clients don't have to come in every month forever and ever. And so I think, it's a relief to them. So I think, again, just finding that right person is the key.
Absolutely. In California, the skin estheticians cannot run the devices, so it's a little bit trickier. But I'm sure there is some young nurse who wants to enter aesthetics out there, Kitty, that I can make it happen. I'm sure there is.
Maybe they'll hear this podcast.
Maybe.
Well, you are just amazing. I would work with you all day, every day. So
Thank you
I
so
feel
much.
like, the right person's going to come up, I'm sure.
We have a really good time in our office. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to share before we end our time together?
I would just say, don't be afraid to try. Try new techniques, get out of your comfort zone, use those family members that want discounted or free treatments, and just give things a try because you'll be amazed at what works. And sometimes maybe what catches you off guard that doesn't work that you may or may not want to introduce into your office.
Definitely. And I think, just the practice piece of it alone gives me the confidence. And then again, like you said, you've got the choice to do it or not, even after you try it.
Right. And I would say always use your spouse first, because if they sue, they lose money. So their likelihood of lawsuits low, Kathy. It's
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we are often doing that to each other. I have some of our most prized pictures from those moments throughout our career. And if you've ever heard Matt talk, you've seen quite a few of them. So, oh, well, thank you so much for spending your time with me today and sharing all this invaluable or very valuable information. So I just really, really appreciate it. Can't thank you enough. And I hope I get to see you soon. It was fun to see you in California this last weekend.
Yes, and you missed the best jogging day because the following day it was so warm and sunny California, perfect. I was thinking, well, maybe that's how it should be because you probably don't want to move to California, so it's best to go when it's all dreary and rainy and the beach seems like it's not a nice place.
You know what? Even on the not nice days for California, it's still like the nicest day. So my little drizzly run that first morning was still so great. And every time I go to California, I think, oh, I'd love to live here. I mean, it's really just, well, a lot of things that go into it, other than the traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's many other things, Kathy. If you ever want to talk about on a day when you're thinking about moving, just give me a call. I'll easily give you 8 reasons Kansas is
Yeah.
a great place.
Never know. One of these days we might both end up in Tulsa again.
Right?
Oh, well, thank you so much. And again, for spending your time with us today, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Kathy. So nice to see you.